Hey everybody, hope you guys doing alright. So, earlier today, I woke up about, I don't know, like 4 or 5 in the morning, and I actually slept for a long time, which is good because the schedule I have with work and everything, it's hard for me to get a good night's sleep, or good day's sleep, since I'm usually sleeping during the daytime. But anyway, I slept pretty well, and I woke up feeling rested. I felt like I'm starting to get the same panic attacks I used to get, last year about, or whenever I'm doing just recently, but whenever I feel like I'm falling short or I'm not, I'm not engaging with people maybe the way that I should, or that my soul really wants to. I seem to get like at nighttime, especially like almost like it's not a complete panic attack, but it's like a sudden rush of panic type, worried, anxious energy that hits me at night, and it's something pulling me, but also like it's because I'm moving away from something, so someone's trying to pull me back, but they're also like mad at me at the same time. It's a very peculiar feeling that I'm not too particularly fond of, but it's there for a reason. I think it also has to do with my continuation of my choice to continue perpetuating self destruction. Um, but anyways, so before I woke up, what I wanted to say was earlier today, I woke up and I didn't take much. I hadn't taken much herbs the night before, so when I woke up and after sleeping for a good amount of time, I had it was the soberest I've felt in a long time, like in a good couple, pretty much since I started taking kratom and kava kava again and all this and that. Like this earlier today was the most sober and free from those toxins that I felt in a while. So it was it gave me an interesting standpoint, like a viewpoint. Like I was seeing things from a perception that wasn't so skewed or influenced by other alternative stimuli like herbs and shit like that. So, and anyway, in that state, first of all, I found how much more I am affected by the things that I do and say with people, especially. Um, and so like I start going through like oh, I missed out on this, I missed out on that, I didn't do this, I'm falling short on that. All these like bad things will start popping in my head. Like it's just like, oh fuck. Um, but they're there for a reason. And like, as I wake up and I take my time and I get going and I move around a little bit and shit like this and that, like, I'm able to rationalize things in a manner to where it's like, okay, well, whatever I may have done, whatever I have done, me freaking out about it right now and getting lost in shame and guilt and continuing to self-destruct and escape and all these things like that's not gonna help anything. um I used to be really good about that too. Like I remember, like when I was younger, I used to be very firm about like no matter what the fuck was going on, whatever I had done, to at least not keep me down. Like it's maybe I should have had a little bit more of a consideration for how I'm affecting others, but I do think it's healthy to be able to continue on in a positive manner, even if you're going through negative shit. Getting lost in fucking grief and guilt and shame or whatever it may be, and not having the motivation to get out of it, or not having any hope, which comes from I think motivation, is a horrible place to be. And I've been there. I do not want to go there again. So I think a lot of times these anxieties, these panic attacks, these pullings, these feelings I'm having at night, especially when I wake up, are there to wake my ass up, to be like, yo, bro, like you're missing out on some shit. Like, and it's also maybe possible pain that I'm causing other people. It's also me as I'm growing. Like I did a lot of growth, getting off all this stuff, and then I've relapsed. I've gone back into it. So then like a part of my soul, I think, is also like trying to like wake the other part of me up and be like, dude, you don't. This doesn't make you happy. Like you don't want this. You really don't want this. Like you're ready to move on. Like if you want to, like we're ready to move on too. Like you're my soul. Like whatever you want to call it, my more loving higher self, it misses me, essentially, and I miss myself too. It's like it's another reason why I've stayed kind of distant and absent from, you know, social engagements, because like I wouldn't like knowing like even the thoughts in my head, the way I'm speaking right now and all this and that, like it's not, you know, it's not all that attractive, you know, just to be honest with you. It's it comes across like somebody who's under the influence, kind of numbed out, maybe, you know. So it's like, you know, I realize that, and because I realize that and I acknowledge that, I don't want to share that all that often, which isn't good either, because you should, you know, you should just be you. You know, whatever state you're in, whoever you are, just share that. If people want to fucks with you, they'll fucks with you. If they don't, they won't. But to stay hidden, you know, and in the shadows, and you know, all this and that, like that's just, you know, I don't know. That's what I've spent a lot of my life doing, and it hasn't really. It just puts you farther in that darkness. It puts you farther in that clandestine mode of not wanting to be you, and not being okay with who you are. Because we're all growing, we're all learning. So even though I may say things that don't come across, you know, as attractive, or you know, I may, you know, have mannerisms that are of a cringiness or fucking whatever it may be to whatever whomever's watching, that's still who I am. You know, and you know, it's to be okay with that. You know, I think is one of the first steps in order to really heal and then to change from that, is to first, you know, take accountability for the spot that you're in, and you know, to really identify and embrace this situation, you know, to the fullest, as well as I can. And then from that standpoint, you know, at least you're now being real and honest with yourself and where you're at and who you are and what you've done and why you're here. And then from there, that honest standpoint, you can then make moves to make yourself better, to change in a different way if that's what you want. But I think, you know, and if it is to go into a manner that's in more authentic, more real, more of who you really are, and expressing who you really are, and being okay and essentially good at doing that, I think it's, you know, almost imperative, if not, you know, a part of the process to, you know, be okay with the good times as well as the bad times. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, if you really want to be real, a real motherfucker, don't just be real about the good shit, be real about the bad shit too. So, but yeah, I just wanted to really make this video, you know, sharing with you guys my experience I had earlier today. And like, before I'd taken any kava kava or kratom, like I was really, there was a lot of beautiful feelings going inside myself, and I had this desire to just want to share, you know, myself with others, you know, and get some good work done and build on relationships, and you know, focus on the things that I think matter more than other things, which is socializing, like getting, you know, being with other human beings and other life forms, like getting shit done, working together, you know, building things, you know, agreeing on things, or not agreeing on things, but just at least talking, at least communicating, at least interacting. You know, that's where the real fucking magic is at, really. Especially for us human beings, because we are such social creatures and we are so complex. We have so many different aspects to ourself in this existence here, and there's so many different things we can do with our life, and you know, there's a lot to talk about. There really is. There's a lot to do, and there's a lot of problems in the world, and there's a lot of things that we could start coming together on that would be beneficial in a multitude of ways. You know, one, it's going to help the socializing. You know, it's going to keep us, you know, working on, you see, the socialization, if you have a good purpose behind it, that helps support the moment. So if we're all working on trying to save, you know, the oceans or the kids or the earth, or you know, fighting corruption, all these, like that's our purpose, that's our backbone, that's our foundation, our infrastructure for our relationship. That's something we can always relate on. That's something we can always go back to, and it will help keep us together and on the same page when things get tough. But without that purpose, without that common ground of you know, work, and you know, having a goal and all this and that, it's going to be just harder for someone, it's going to, for anyone to sustain and maintain a relationship, in my opinion. You know, this is also why I think whomever my wife may, you know, woman, wife, partner may be, you know, it's just who I am. It's so deeply ingrained within myself and who I am, that they're going to have to, like, it's not going to really work with anybody who's not, you know, interested and motivated to help out, you know. And you know, we're all different levels, so it doesn't mean somebody has to spend, you know, like they don't have to go balls to the wall at the first day. Like, it, you know, it's a gradual, like I don't like to rush things. Like, I like the things flow. It's good to push things and be progressive, but to also know your limit, because you can also push things too far, and people can jump into things when they're not ready, and da 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 da. So, I can take things slower. Like, it doesn't have to be fast. It doesn't have to be super intense. Like, there is a chill mode that's also very progressive that I'm very fond of, because it's a progressive as well as being essentially stable. So just sharing these things, like, I have, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's really kind of the only expectation, other than, she'd be honest and not wanting to hurt other people and all these type of things. But, I mean, essentially, I think that is going to be kind of like, I don't like saying the word prerequisite, but it feels like it's not going to, I mean, that's just who I am. It's so deeply ingrained in my heart that I don't feel like I could even really be with somebody in a really intense and intimate way unless they have a similar feeling um, inside themselves too. So, and with that being said, I also want to make some more videos talking about religion and Christianity and Buddhism, and other ones too, but those two especially, because I mean, me being who I am, and Christianity being something that's new to me, but I'm learning from, and this and that. And they're both very, especially here in America. I mean, it's predominantly Christian, so it is a very important and prevalent topic to be to discuss here as an American. And I do think there has been a lot of manipulation, a ton of manipulation to it's just how the enemy is just using the word, the Bible, the book, that message. They've fucking, instead of like trying to destroy it and push it away and all this and that, like, they do that too, but they've also, I think, figured out that if they just put people into these churches and these organizations and these movements, and in front of these microphones and all this type of stuff, and they have them say these words, while in the meantime doing shady fucking backwards shit behind the scenes. It's just a way to get people's attention. It's a way to keep them from doing stuff that's really going to help the community, because they're giving their funds, their money, their attention to, essentially a wicked pastor, a wicked network of pastors and organizations that, pretend, put on the appearance of the good guys, when in actuality they're the real bad guys. But I think that's, again, I've talked about that. If the enemy, like the devil, whatever you want to call it, Lucifer's, whatever, that's one of the best moves he could do is, not, I mean, you can't get rid of the word. The word's already been here. It's already been spread. It's already been spoken. It's here. Like, that's done. There's no taking that back. You can't get rid of that. Once it's spread to one mouth, and then it goes to two mouths, three, four, and it continues to perpetuate. And it's like, once you start to see a fire fucking spreading, you can tell if it's going to continue spreading or not. And I think it's clear, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, that it was a fire that spread. It just continued to spread. So the enemy knows that. So if there's a fire that's going to be continuing to spread, and it's a fire that could potentially